Hello everybody.
Next up, we hop across the North Sea for the second leg of our Thursday night conference semi-final against AZ Alkmaar. Kick-off is at 8 p.m. British summer time, with coverage on BT Sport. This being the second leg, extra time and kicks from the penalty mark will be available to determine the outcome should the sides be level on aggregate after 90 minutes. Since we last met, they've had one further game in the Eredivisie, beating relegation-threatened FCMM 5-1. The win put them into third place, but this was just a temporary arrangement as Ajax's visit to Groningen had been abandoned after 9 minutes due to the continued lobbing of pyrotechnics onto the pitch by fans of the already relegated home side. That match, or rather the remaining 81 minutes of it, was played on Tuesday, Ajax's 3-2 win returning AZ to fourth spot. I dealt with AZ's background in a little bit more detail last week, but I do have some news over the mid-80s name change that saw them lose a part of the name that most of us knew them by. Last week we asked you whatever happened to the 67. Well, having watched them last week at our place, I can exclusively reveal that that was the number of minutes wasted by their keeper in the first leg. Okay, maybe it wasn't quite that much, but given that keeper Ryan got his first warning on 13 minutes and carried on the delaying tactics well after he received a belated yellow, it sure felt like it. On the injury front, they're likely to welcome back highly rated 19-year-old left-back Gerkes to the side that started the Olympic, though he was suspended rather than injured last time. Midfielder De Wit may be another to come in. Apart from former Stoke defender Bruno Martins Indy, they don't appear to have any further injuries worries. And since neither Daisy nor I have much to really add about them at this juncture, I'll move on. And on we move to the wild and wacky world of association football. And yet again the wisdom of allowing a group with room temperature IQs to be the ones to continue to operate VAR came into question as Andrew Madley took a dozen looks at Palace's Joachim Andersen punching Bournemouth's Jefferson Lerma before coming to the conclusion that there was no violent conduct involved. It was the sort of decision that could only have been arrived at by someone who'd never seen a punch thrown in their life. Perhaps an Audley Harrison fan. Or perhaps someone whose grasp of reality is so tiny even by PGMOL standards. Add to that the list of VAR errors in our league matches, which is now running at 4 in a row, and you have to admit something's got to be done. But what? Well, you won't be surprised to know that I have the answer. It's quite simple, really. Replace the VAR with somebody off the street. It'd be helpful, but not totally necessary for them to have a love and knowledge of football. After all, it's never stopped PGMOL appointing somebody to the role. All the recruit would have to do would be to wait until something needed reviewing. And here's the clever bit. Simply then toss a coin to decide whether a goal should be given or not. The benefit of this scheme is that, on average, the correct decision would be given on at least 50% of the time, even in matches involving Liverpool. This should represent an improvement of some 49% on the current situation, or 50% for matches involving Liverpool. So fed up am I with the current state of play, I'll even accept a reduced royalty for my use of my wonderful idea. On the subject of Lerma, the FA seem to be sitting on their hands, claiming there's nothing they can do, as the matter was already viewed. This is, of course, nonsense. The FA have the power to take retrospective action, even when the referee has seen an incident, if there are what they call extraordinary circumstances. A power they have used in the past. Simply Google Ben Thatcher for the prime example. Now, I'd say that a decision that no sane human being would give is extraordinary enough. Though, given the intelligence of the average PGMOL ref these days, maybe it's not that extraordinary. Bournemouth are fuming, quite understandably. Maybe they should have a quick word with the local constabulary. That might pay dividends. After all, it wouldn't be one of PGMOL's brain donors reviewing the evidence this time, would it? Elsewhere, Tottenham's media department, which has been working overtime in a desperate attempt to deflect from their current turmoil, were proud to announce last week that the club had won the title of the Premier League's greenest club. That's all very laudable, I'm sure you'll agree. Though the open-top bus parade will take some planning, the bus they used last time is unlikely to meet modern emission standards. Let's move on to us. Sunday's game was a game that nobody really seemed to care about. Certainly the team selection was not made with a view to picking up points, and those selected didn't seem too interested in furthering their cause for selection. We saw enough from the first team when they came on to suggest that we might have gotten something out of that game, all things being equal. Of course, all things were not equal with Michael Oliver in charge. Anyone who gave the handball decision he did after seeing a replay has no right to call himself, as he often does, best referee in the league. Indeed, he arguably has no right to be in the job at all. However, as ever, no punishment will be meted out, as he's one of PGMOL's untouchables, and they can do what they like. Still in the league, no harm done, and we move on to the sautéing of larger aquatic animals. On the injury front, Skamaka is reportedly back in the country. Let's hope he manages to watch our match on the box. Although Suval is said to be progressing well, he's probably not going to be available this time around. Antonio's got to be fit, his absence at the weekend being more precautionary than anything else. And it's Antonio who will probably be key to this one. He terrified their defence last time out to the extent that he was fouled almost every time he was challenged. Unfortunately, Antonio has a tendency to exaggerate things when he is fouled, and this often persuades referees that no foul has taken place. He needs to be perhaps a bit cuter in those situations. Mind you, one got the impression that even a full-blown assault with nunchucks would have been ignored by that clown last week. So the prediction then, and I'm even nervous about the prediction, never mind the game itself. They had a lot of possession last week, but didn't really have the nous or ambition to get between the lines enough, getting so far before turning around and going back on several occasions, lest they lose the ball and get caught on the break. This time, of course, they will need to be a bit more adventurous, which hopefully will play into our hands a bit more. Once we got going last week, we could have scored a few more. The sublime move that should have resulted in a Benrahma goal stuck in the mind, but there were other opportunities. A good start will be more than useful, of course, but it won't be easy going into their backyard. A few of the older heads will need to channel their inner Bolin to cope with the atmosphere, I guess. So, with a heavy intake of breath, I'm going to be putting the first £2.50 I received from the FA for the use of the Percy Assistant Referee System, PAR. I'm going to take that and put it on us to win narrowly. Tell you what, please make that 2-1 to us, Mr. Winston. Enjoy the game if you can.
James Corden.
Hi.
Big West Ham fan.
Yes. And big knees up Mother Brown, man.
Yeah.
Get on the forum at kumb.com. Come on, you irons.